good morning. Am I audible? Morning all. Am I audible? Great. Good morning all. We are starting our reading club with the prayer.
भेद भाव अपने दिल से साफ कर सके, दोस्तों से भूल हो तो माफ कर सके, झूठ से बचे रहे, सच कदम भरे, को जय करे, हमको मन की शक्ति देना, मुश्किलें पड़े तो हम पर हित न कर्म कर, साथ दे तो धर्म का, चले तो धर्म पर, खुद पे हौसला रहे, बदी से ना डरे, दूसरों की जय से पहले खुद को जय करे, हमको मन की शक्ति देना।
Good morning all. Giving tribute to our great master, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, for this wonderful divine science as a gift to all of us and taught us where to be wise. Seeking blessings from our Guru, Dr. Prafull Vijayakar, sirs, who have bridged this divine science with the modern science and made homeopathy easy like mathematics. Jai Hanuman, Jai Homeopathy, Om Vijayakar Namah. Friends, we are in the journey of understanding the wisdom of Master Samuel Hahnemann from the Organon of Medicine, the sixth editions, as well as we are reading the genetic Materia Medica by Dr. Vijayakar. So up till now in organ of medicines, we have covered the theoretical part and the practical part and the applications of the homeopathic principle or the homeopathic pathogenetic agent or the medicines on the disease part. So in this journey, we are continuing with the aphorism number 172. So in previous aphorism of 171, what Master Hanuman said that when you are dealing with the non-venereal disease, that means that is to say soric disease and the sora, you must require several antisoric remedy and to complete the cure. And this is what Master Hanuman has faced the difficulty, and that's why he has given this aspect of understanding and wisdom to understand the patients as well as dealing with these patients. You must require several antisoric remedies. And successive being the antisoric, which is in the correspond to the principle of the homeopathicity that have to be applied. That is what Master Hanuman wanted. And in further continuation of this, aphorism number 172 said that a similar difficulty in a way of the cure occur from the symptoms of the disease being too few, a circumstances that deserve our careful attentions, for by its removal almost all the difficulties that can lie in the way of this most perfect of all possible mode of treatment are removed, except that is apparatus of the non-homeopathic medicine is still incomplete. So this is what Master Hanuman wanted that when the disease being symptoms of the disease being too few, when what to do. So the only disease in aphorism number 173 says the only disease that seems to have but a few symptoms and on that account to be less amenable to cure are those which may be termed as one-sided disease. This is what Master Hanuman said that they have termed that it is the one-sided disease because they display only one or two principal symptoms which obscure almost all other symptoms. This being chiefly to be the class of chronic disease. So this is what very important that whenever the person showing a one or two symptoms of a chronic disease, that is the class of chronic disease and that is termed by the one-sided disease. Now what to do in one-sided disease? So aphorism number 174 says that the principal symptoms may be either an internal complaint or a disease which is named by the local affections or external kind. So this is what Master Hanuman has divided the one-sided disease in the two categories. That is, one is the internal complaint and one is the external kind. Okay. The principal symptoms may be either an internal complaint, for example, headache of many years duration, a diarrhea of long standing, and ancient cardialgia, etc. This is what the few example what Master Hanuman has given us. There are a lot of examples of this one-sided disease, or it may be an affections of an external kind. That means the external presentations only, no other internal symptoms has been experienced. So, disease of the latter character are generally distinguished by the name of local malady. So, the external kind can be termed as local maladies and distinguished by the local maladies. So, that is what we have the one-sided disease. Now, in further process, in one-sided disease of the first kind, that is of an internal origin, it is often to be attributed to the medical observer's want of discernment that he does not fully discover the symptoms actually present, which would enable him to complete the sketch of the portrait of the disease. So many a time the patient comes to you with the complaint of the long-standing headache, and on the basis of the headache, you cannot portray the such kind of picture. And he says that I have a headache since 10 years, 20 years, or 25 years of the headache, and you cannot get the fully complete symptoms or the sketch of that portrait of the disease. So, what to do? So, however, there are still a few diseases which, after the most careful initial examinations, that means we have taken a lot of effort in taking a case of that type of patient present but one or two severe or violent symptoms. So in that case, you must find only one or two violent symptoms, while all the others are but indistinctly perceptible. That is all the general class of the symptoms, and you cannot get what you want for the prescriptions. So this is what you must aware of this one or two more severe or violent symptoms. That means what Vijay sir has said, that whenever you are dealing with the one-sided disease, you must have to understand the syphilitic aspect of the patient's symptoms, and that has to be taken into account. So this is what one or two violent symptoms has to be there in one-sided disease. In order to meet most successfully such cases as this, so what to do in these cases, which is of a very rare occurrence, we are in the first place to select, guided by these few symptoms, the medicine which in our judgment is the most homeopathically indicated. So this is what to do in these cases. So in order to treat these type of cases, you have a few symptoms, and on the basis of that few symptoms, you must use your judgment to prescribe the most indicated homeopathical remedy in that case. Now, what is this? No doubt, it will sometime happen that this medicine is selected in a strict observance of homeopathic law, furnish the similar artificial disease suited for the emulations of the malady present. And this is much more likely to happen when the few morbid symptoms are very striking, decided, uncommon, and peculiarly distinctive characteristics. So this is what very important Master Hahnemann said, that whenever there is a one or two symptoms are there, and that has to be a very, very striking, decided, uncommon, and peculiar symptom has to be there from the strict observance of the homeopathic law. And on the basis of that, you prescribe, you will get the result. So this is what the few wisdom of Master Hahnemann telling us about the organon of medicine. So what to do in one-sided disease. So this is what the continuations. We will continue this aphorism from tomorrow onwards. But this is you have to keep in mind that you need to treat something one-sided disease. In that case, you have a few morbid symptoms, and that few morbid symptom has to be have a syphilitic trait. That is what Vijay Sir has said. Anything which is striking, anything which is PQRS, anything which is decided, that has to be PQRS, and that is what you have to keep in mind. So, in recent lecture series of our Happy Gujarat team, one of our colleague, Dr. Sushant, has shared a case, and that case of the one-sided disease, and that one-sided disease of tinea, a local manifestation, tinea cruris, and he shows the wonderful understanding of that. So, in that case, one case find uh, tinea is skin eruptions, and it is because of that irritation is there. So at the mental level also we need to find out the irritations. And on the basis of that, one case he shared that what is the issue with you? So he said that she was very, very frustrated and irritated because of some family circumstances and everything. And she used to have this skin infections and everything. So she was being very, very irritated and agitated at the night, and she become very, very what we call more anxious at night. And she, because of this complaint, she used to have a thought that either I have to end up my life or I do suicide. So this was the thought in the mind, and she was so much so agitated and anxious in that state. And mostly this happened at the level at the night. So on the basis of this phenomena, he used to find one rubric, and that is of a PQRS, what we call as a few morbid symptoms are there, but the PQRS is very striking. So at that agitated, anxious state at the night, that he feels that it is the anguish characteristic, anguish of the patient, and again that along with that anguishness, she used to have a thought of suicide. So he find out one rubric from the repertory, and that rubric is anguish thought suicidal at night, and the only remedy is reversal in that rubric, and he prescribed that remedy to the cases of the tinea, and the tinea will be resolved within 15 to 30 days. So that was the thing you can understood in this case. So that is what I'm sharing. One of my colleagues' experience, And that is what in one-sided disease you must have to be taken care of a striking, decided, uncommon, and peculiar distinctive characteristic symptoms, so that you will get the result wonderful in one-sided diseases. In continuations of our genetic materia medica reading, we are reading genetic materia medica by Dr. Prafull Vijayakar, sir. In this book, up till now, we have covered the two big group of our materia medica. One is the Baraita group, basic understanding the genetic trait of that Baraita personality, and along with the different sort of the Baraita. Same way, we have understood the biography of the chalk, and on the basis of that biography, we understood the criteria personality, the genetic background of that, and genetic trait of that. And then we have understood the different salt of calcarea. So, in continuation of further, today we are starting with the another group, and that is of a Kali group. So today we are starting with the Kalis. So to understand the Kalis, we need to understand the potassiums and the role of potassiums in our body. So that on the basis of that potassium's role, we can understand how the Kali personality present to you in your clinic. So we are starting with the today's topic, Kali group, and understanding of the Kali at the genetic level, at the cellular level, and understanding of the potassium. The behavior and the symptoms of any constitutions or any remedy is not entirely unrelated to our physiology. It is more so when the remedy is a singular substance like a mineral or a metal. The behavior of one element differs from the behavior of the another inside the body. Our body is full of chemicals and the substance despite so many substances inside the body. A particular ailment will always stand out in a behavior. The science of the homeopathy being a holistic, we cannot afford to neglect even the slightest peculiarity shown by the substance at the cellular or molecular level. A lot of relations exist between the behavior of an element in the milieu exterior and the milieu interior of the body and the personality trait exhibited by that element as a constitution. So one want to understand the Kali group, it is worthwhile to understand the behavior of potassium within our body. So let us see what our books of physiology have to say about the potassium. So today we are understanding the potassium. The functions of the potassium. The potassium is mostly found in the cells of the muscles, tendons, and the nerves. The potassium is an ionic state is found in the higher concentrations inside the cell as against the sodium, which is higher concentration outside the cell. So sodium and the potassium plays a very important part in the conductions of the impulse by nerve to and fro from the brain. Whatever we feel through our five senses, whatever actions or the movement our body makes depends upon the conductions of the impulses through these nerves when a stimulus is received. It is important to understand how a stimulus initiates an impulse and how this impulse is propagated. So this is what our understanding of sodium potassium comes. The nerve transmit an impulse of the sensations due to electrical potentials in the nerve cells. There are two membrane potentials in our nerve cells. One way when the nerve is resting, which is called as the resting membrane potential (RMP), and the second one when the stimulus is received and the impulse is transmitted, then the action has been started, and it is called as the action membrane potential. So we have a resting membrane potentials and the action membrane potential. This is of physiological in nature. The resting membrane potentials of the cell is 90 millivolt when the nerve is not stimulated. In this condition, the voltage gates are closed. In order to transit information, the nerve has to be stimulated. It means the electrical potential must rise by 60 millivolt to the 30 millivolt. So this is what you have to understand that when the stimulus has been come, the gate is open. When the nerve is stimulated, for example, when the pin is picked anywhere, the first thing that occurs is that the membrane potential is raised. Other sequences that take place are shown in the diagrammatic representation as follows. When the nerve is stimulated, the voltage gates open, the sodium rushes inside the cell, and the potassium escapes out of the cell into the extracellular fluid. And this is the basic physiology that helps a nerve to transmit an impulse. So this is what for transmission of the impulse, the change or actions of the ions from the inside to the out. The opening of the voltage gauge can be fast or the slow, depending upon how fast the resting membrane potential is converted into action membrane potential. So this is what very important line you have to understand. In some gates, in some, the gates open rapidly and easily, and the sensation is transmitted quickly, so the reaction to the stimulus is also quick. These are the fast remedy. In potassium constitutions, basically the voltage gates are very fast to open, thereby making them highly reactive and easily excitable. The potassiums are the fast remedy. On the other hand, the presence of the calcium, barium, and the carbon in the extracellular fluid makes the gates open very slow, thus making this constitution slow to react to the stimulus, and these are the slow remedy. So to understand that very important physiologically that the potential action potentials is stimulated and open, gate is open, so that this can lead to the stimulus being passing fast. So that's why the remedy can be fast. And if the stimulus is given and will get open slowly, then the stimulus becomes slow and the remedy becomes slow. Here the gates are slow to open and the stimulus conductions are, as well as the reactions is also slow. These diagrammatic representations of the neural cell physiology that may be responsible for the difference in the behavior, speed, and the reactions of the different remedy. This can also make us you understand the basic quality of the potassium vis-a-vis calcium salt and help us to learn materia medica. So what is that in? This is what something normal physiology is. So potassium is inside the cell, sodium is outside the cells, and this is the neural cells, and it is the resting membrane potentials. So normally the potassium is high in concentration inside the cells, and the sodium is high in concentration outside the cells. When the stimulus of a plan is given, so voltage gate is open. So when the voltage gate is open, the potassium from the inside of the cells leaves the cells and goes out, whereas the sodium ion goes inside and it stimulates the action membrane potentials and the action has been started. So impulse has been started. So when impulse is initiated, natron goes inside the cells and potassium leaves the interior of the cell to escape out. So same way their mental picture is also when the stimulation is there, the Kali goes outside the family, whereas the sodium goes inside the family. So that is what our basic understanding from this physiological point of view. In potassium, the personality is perhaps in the Kali, Kalika, Kaliars, or the Kali Brom, etc. They are easy opening of the voltage gates in response to the slightest stimulus. So if voltage gate open quickly, the impulse is initiated quickly. Now what happened? The voltage gate open instantly when the potassium ion more in the extracellular fluid. Then again the stimulus. So the stimulus gives you fastness and the emotional sensitivity. So here the sensitivity has been increasing. So impulse is initiated very quickly, giving rise to what? Now, when the impulse is very quickly giving rise to easy excitement, and this easy excitement is lead to the extreme sensitivity to the touch or the tickle or a startling tendency and fearful tendency. So this is what you have to understand and correlate physiology with our materia medica, and that is what we have to. So there is one rubric. There is a sensitivity to the tickles and ticklish. The kali carb is the more marked remedy in this rubric. So this is what due to this easy excitement of or impulse quickly to pass impulse gives rise to this. So touch gives rise to a tickles and that tickles is sensitive. So that is what the person is sensitive to it. Again, there is a startling tendency. This is also there is excitement and impulse has to be passed fast. So this is what startling tendency. And this startle, because of so much of sensitivity, startle, the persons become a very, very fearful in tendency. So this causes potassium constitution to have an easy excitability of the nerves and the easy and rapid conductions of the information. Thus, the Kali element shows the easy excitability and the rapid conductions, giving rise to the personality that is very, very sensitive. This makes the person oversensitive, fast, extremely touchy, ticklish, fearful, and the startling. So these are the key point of the Kali in the Sori phrase. Very, very sensitive, fast, extremely touchy, ticklish, fearful, and the startling. Now, effect of the excess calcium and the barium ion in the extracellular fluids. So, high concentrations of the certain ion like the calcium and the barium and the carbon, etc., will lower the membrane potential due to which the voltage gate will open slowly and will not open at an all and cause lessening in the sensitivity and dullness of the reaction. So, in compare with potassium, so calcium ion is there outside, so it lead to this the open gate open slowly, and that is what the dullness is. So voltage gate open slow at a rate or late, and when calcium ions are more in the extracellular fluid. So what happens in that case? The impulse when initiated and it is delayed, slow, giving rise to slowness of the response. So no sensitive touch or the ticklish, no startling tendency, and on the basis of that there is a mildness and the sluggishness. So this is what in contrast to the Kal. For more detail, you need to understand this. For more detail, you need to go to the Titan physiology, and you will get the better idea of how the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluids ion exchange has been happen, and action potentials and the membrane resting potential work, and on the basis of now impulse has to be conducted. Thus, so from this we have to conclude something, and thus in short, the constitution that has easy opening of the voltage gates get that is stimulated easily. Thus, the most of the Kali tend to be very very jerky, anxious, fast, excessively sensitive, and startle easily. So this is what the few understanding of the basic trait or genetic trait of a particular salt. This causes most of the Kali to be very, very oversensitive and easily excitable. So excitement at the level of nerve. The easily startle, so startle easily, startle from the fright as from a noise, as from noise or during sleep, startle when touch, or startle on a sleep, falling on a sleep, or startle on waking. So this is what something that their action potentials are always stimulated by the slightest impulse. So they have the startling tendency. So easily frightened, therefore the full of anxiety. So most of time you find the all the kalis and you frightened easily at a trifle, frightened from the trudge, frightened on waking, and there is a lot of anxiety. The anxiety with the fear, anxiety when hungry, anxiety hypochondriacal, sorry, anxiety with palpitations, anxiety with respiratory difficulty or anxious, anxiety sleep during, anxiety disturb sleep with, anxiety arising from stomach, anxiety in stomach. So one of the key symptoms of the Kali Kav is anxiety felt in the stomach. Anxiety after school, anxiety waking on. So this is what because of their oversensitivity and the frightful conditions, they go into a lot of anxiety. Easily tickled on the touch. So touch aversion to being, the ticklishness and the touch aggravation. So this is what the Kali personality is. Touch aggravation of feet or touch aggravations of the slide. If the impulse is more fast and rapid, so reactions or emotion has to be a fast, and in that way they become easily angered. So high-strung and aggressive, and therefore the quarrelsome scolding, especially with the family of his or her. So this is what you have to understand. Why? So inside the cell is his family. Whenever any stimulus is come, he quarrel with and go outside the family. That is what our understanding from the cellular mechanism of the Kali. The like of the Pimpria, Paraita, Helleborus, etc., where the gates do not open fast and which conduct impulse very slowly, are likely to be slow, sluggish, dull, non-sparkling, non-excitable. In view of these differences, a good homeopath can never be confused when it comes to deciding between the Kali carb and the Calcarea carb. Kalis are the fast and the Calcarea are the slow in actions as well as speed and progress of the illness and the disease. Now the question arises, we have in Materia Medica that Kalika was given in the slowness and the weakness. So now the question arises, why Kalika also mentioned under the slowness and the weakness? So here the weakness in the Kali Kab is secondary. The primary, all Kalis are the fast except the Kali bichromicum. When the Kali gets easily startled or the tickle again and again, many potassium ion comes out of the cells. For this potassium ion to be restored back into cell, the sodium potassium pumps start functioning, and this sodium potassium works on active energy and consumes lot of ATP and energy. When this lot of ATP and energy has been used, then the weakness happens. So when Kali is startled again and again or move and jerk many a times and ever so easily, then obviously the potassium ion accumulate outside the cell. All these have to find their way inside. When too many potassiums are to be pumped in, too many potassium are pumped in from outside, a lot of energy is consumed again and again, thus causing weakness and the laxness. And that is the reason why the Kali carb has a weakness because of the lot of potassium has been used. And that is why the ATP has been consuming, and that ATP consuming because of sodium potassium pumps is working to restore the potassium ion from outside to the inside, and that's why they have a weakness and the slowness. So excess of potassium ion have to be pumped inside the cell with the sodium potassium pump. The sodium potassium pump is an active process. The energy is consumed, and this causes a weakness, laxness in the muscles and tendon, causing backache, slip disc, prolapse, and the sprain. Because a lot of potassiums are there in the muscles. So this gives rise to a weakness, backache, slip disc, prolapse, and the sprain. So the weakness and slowness is secondary, and that is due to that the difficult or a weak cell muscle activity. So an interesting phenomena is observed during this above process. The Kali as an internal resident housing inside every cell. When stimulated, it runs out of the cells. This specific nature of Kali again goes through and through from the minutest of the cell physiology to the attitude and the reactions of the mind. So that is what called as the mind of cell. This proves that the Kali is an escapist remedy. When the problem crops up, it is the first to leave the home. It means the cell and go outside. It seeks solace not within the house but outside it. This is exactly opposite of the natrum or the sodium who rushes inside the home or the cell when reacting to the stimulus. Thus shows the extrovertedness of the Kali against the introvertedness of the natrum. So this is what our understanding on the cellular physiology. There has been a lot of misguiding Materia Medica written in the homeopathic circle that projects Kali as a conscientious, family-oriented man who do not understand the source of such a wrong projections. It has already been done such damage to the homeopathy because Kalis have been prescribed on the basis of this frequently, with hardly any good result. So in the first place, if the proving are the basis of the materia medica, then nowhere in the provings is such a symptom listed that can show the Kali favoring the family. Leave aside loving the family. On the contrary, all the rubrics available to us in the repertory in any Kali solved vis-a-vis family shows an exactly opposite picture, and that is the Akali hates coming home. It is sad when he comes home. Quarrelsome with the family and aversion to children, as the following rubric from the complete repertory will show. With the help of the computer and various programs, it has become easy to find out more about the rubrics and the remedies. If we need to know how the Kali is related to the family, the following rubric will tell us. Maybe not all these rubrics from the repertory are reliable, and maybe not all are from the provings, but nevertheless, the list of the rubric and the medicine that covers them gives us a rough idea or at least a trend of the remedy or a group concern. So the rubric related to the behavior with the family. So the aversion to family members, we have a Kali Cup, Kali Force, abusive insulting to family member or children to the Kali Ayod, the cruelty, brutality, inhumanity to her family, the Kali Force, delusion, danger from his family, Kali Broom, irritability, family to her, Kali Ferrocinetums and Kali Ayod, quarrelsome, scolding with the family, his or her, Kali Cup, Kali Mute, Kali Force unfeeling, hard-hearted family with his Kali Iod. So the above rubric do not show any affections of the Kali towards its family. More importantly, not a single rubric show its responsible behavior, family, include children. So let us see how the Kali behave with the children. With the children, there is an indifference, apathy to her children, Kali iod, impatience with the children, Kali Kab, irritability towards the children, Kali iod, aversion to see her children from the sadness, Kali iod, aversion to see her child from sadness to whom she is devotedly attached, who becomes that is the Kali iod. Here again, the rubric shows the antagonistic behavior of most of the Kalis with their children. It is worthwhile to see whether Kali has any good relations with the father, mother, or the friend. So, what is the rubric related to father? The dreams beaten being by the fathers, the Kali Kab. With mothers, the clinging children take the hand of the mother will always the Kali Kab. Fear alone of being child wants mother to hold her hand, Kali Kab. This clinging arises out of the insecurity and timidity and not out of any affections or the love. With a friend, aversion to friends, the Kali mute, consolations, friendly advice aggravates, Kali Kab, recognize does not his friends, Kali Brom, suspicious to the friends, Kali Ars, violence, vehemence to his friends, Kali Ars. So it is obvious that when person is showing a lot of concern for his family, it could be for various reasons. This could be because he has affectionate and love his family, or he could be doing it as a duty, or he is a do-gooder. So Kali is conspicuous by its absence in the rubric that shows any love, affections, concerns, respect, or venerations for the family. So this is all the rubric which we have shown. It's a syphilitic aspect of the Kali. It has no affection, it has no religious affection, it has no benevolence, and it has no duty. Now let us see if the Kali has a trait of being loving person. The rubric below shows Kali to be the person who is indifferent and apathetic to family. He seems to be hard-hearted, cruel person. Then how can he be a very family person? So this is what the rubric related to love. Indifferent to the loved ones. Kali Phos, Kali Silicata, kill desire to loved ones, Kali Brome, love perversity, Kali Nitricum, antagonism with herself, Kali Kap, aversion to herself, Kali Fast, discontented with himself, Fasticum, and Kali Kap. So this is what lead to the hard-hearted or cruel person. And again, answers aversion to the Kali arts, Kali Fast, Fasticum, aversion to family member, aversion to friends, aversion to herself, aversion to husband, aversion to society, aversion to bad sons, company aversion to, yet dread of being alone, Kali Brom, Fear alone of being company with aversion to yet fear to be alone, Kali Brom. Indifference, apathy, work with aversion to, such aversion to being. All the Kalis are there. Causticum, Kalika, Kali, Sarocyanidum, Kali Iod. Cruelty, brutality, inhumanity, Kali Iod, Kali Cost, and cruelty to her family, Kali Cost. So the above rubric shows us that the Kali personality is far from being a family man. He is, on the contrary, averse to family and the family member, or even to his friends and relatives. The Kali loves only himself. He cannot be loving persons or an affectionate or a duty conscious person. None of the earlier repertory like Kant, BBCR, nor the recent ones like the synthesis have mentioned any of the Kali salt in the rubric conscientious. Even the ardent causticums have, that belong to the Kali group have a characters of the fighting against the injustice. It is not supposed to be conscientious. Unfortunately, only one an author has added causticum and Kalikab in the rubric conscientious, and that too only in one mark, which is quite insignificant. In the complete repertory, one mark inclusions of the Kali as a conscientious or a diligent remedy shows that at most Kali could falsely appear to be a caring family person who follows rules, regulations, and principles to the hilt. If at all the Kali cares for the family, it is more out of the fear and anxiety of losing them, which may be cause loss to him. If at all he obey all the rules and regulations or even heeds the traffic signal at midnight, it is because he is anxious and fearful of being caught and not at all driven by his conscience to do so genetically. It is the art of the homeopath which will allow him to differentiate a superficial character from the deep genetic character. The superficial character is a facade and it is a psychosis. The man develop or a project a character in order to defend against his weakness of the soric trait. So historically, the Kali has a timid characteristic. He is a person who can be very, very anxious, fearful, and who can be frightened easily, startled easily, and he is a very, very oversensitive physically and mentally. In order to defend and hide the sensitivity, his gene shift the defense, the psychosis, that is the psychotic gear, the psychotic defense, wherein he becomes stiff, rigid, and may appear to be good, duty conscious personality. But the truth remains that Kali is an anti-family and not pro-family as projected by some Materia Medica. Can one get result when the Kali is described on the basis of patient being a family person or a rigid or a stiff person or even a man of principle? The answer is yes and no. The yes because it is only one phase, that means the psychotic phase on the basis of which the prescription is made. It will give a partial result. Finally, the remedy has to be changed as it gradually progresses toward the suppression. The patient may proceed to the syphilis. For example, an ovarian cyst which may progress to the cancer of the ovary, hypertension which may temporarily under control but may have a subsequent damage of the myocardial infarction. This happens because the underlying sora has got itself transformed into a stiff and the potential kali, which is dangerous to be considered alone without the syphilitic and the soric symptoms being considered. No, because the cure will not be seen according to the Herring's law of direction of the cure. So here we have a yes or no. So yes because of this reason and no because there is not seeing any Herring's law of direction of the cure. So this is what our understanding of the Kali in the basic. When to think Kali carb in the clinic. So today we are taking the few symptoms of the Kali carb because Kali carb is a polycrest remedy. So Kali carb We always understood any group with the one of his best representatives. So Kali Cup is the strong representative of the Kali group. So every group has one strong representation. The Kali Cup represents all Kalis. Baraita Cup represents all Baraitas and Calcarea represents all Calcarea group. Knowing one thoroughly will help us to know the other better, and the three characteristics ideally contribute to make up of the character of the Kali. Now, what is the Kali characteristic from the basic understanding of the physiology? Basically, they are timid, basically, emotionally, they are angry and oversensitive. So, these are the 3 points which we have seen in our Materia Medica or a repertory 3 mark symptoms: the timidity, 3 marks anger, and 3 marks oversensitivity. When timidity and oversensitivity combine, it gives rise to us a picture of the person who is frightened over so easily. These people who are ready to get frightened have to be very, very anxious. Physically weak or susceptible systems in the Kalika is the gastric system, especially in the Sora. Everything starts and concentrates around the stomach and the chest. So, thus, this anxiety arises from abdomen and the stomach, and the anxiety of the Kali Cup gives rise to a nausea. When 3 mark anger is added to such a combinations of the timidity or oversensitivity and anxiety, we get as a result a very aggressive, argumentative, quarrelsome, though timid personality, quarrelsome, scolding, Kali are very high strung, ever discontented, hard to please, and the anxious people. This combination is seen at the menopausal phase of the female. So we have a rubric that anxiety abdominal, anxiety stool aggravation after, anxiety with nausea. As we saw the pathophysiology, Kali gives rise to a sudden and the fast opening of the gates of the ion channel, thereby giving rise to the fastness, suddenness, and the easy excitement. Easy excitement is seen in the easy irritability, easy anger, easy frightened, easy ticklish tendency, and easy shrieking. So, how the Kali person present to you in the clinic? So we have to understand the man. So these are the basic trait, genetic trait. So people whose whole body talks. So that is what Dr. Vijayakar sir has written. So whole body talks. When the Kali talks, his whole body talks. The muscles are so easily movable, excitable that all the muscles of the face and hand express the feeling. When he talks, his eye open wide, facial muscle shows a frown or a smile, and the hand gesture, etc. The Kalika patient does not need to tell he is angry or irritated or anxious. His face says it all. So this is what by just facial expressions you can understand this is the Kali personality is because his whole body talks. Anxiety, the people who ask too many questions about their illness, showing their anxiety for the health. This anxiety about health is more prominent in the psoric and the syphilitic trait or the illness. They are too much worried and concerned about their health and theorize about the health. Anxious ladies who expect quick result and pester the physician with many questions. Very important to understand. Those who are not satisfied with the treatment and go on complaining anxiously. These are the Kali patients. The anxiety of the Kali is not passive but very, very aggressive anxiety. There is no anticipation in the Kali like Calcarea Cup, but the simple apprehensions and the concerns, except first become no other Kali has anticipated. Kalikab lady is so anxious that she literally attacked the physicians. There is an air of command. It is a more of demanding anxiety. Very important. Anxiety is demanding. The anxiety centers on herself. The anxiety centers around what is going to happen to me and why. Though the Kalika lady is argumentative, she does not mean to hurt the physician, unlike Platina. So, very the difference between that is the Kalika is quarreling with physician, but you do not feel that the ego is between in between. But whereas when the Platina is quarreling, that you feel that the patient has a lot of ego, and that is what hurting your emotions also as a physician. She knows that finally it is the same physician who is going to cure her, and because her anxious and quarrelsome nature, she will not be rude and will not cut off relations with the physician. This is very important understanding that Kali will not leave the physician. A Kali Kab or a Kali Arts lady who is so anxious that she bombards the physicians with questions. The physician literally goes on a defensive when the Kali Kab is complaining. Why does this happen to me? Why don't you give me some good medicine so that I get cured faster? Why have your medicine not worked on me until now? How come other get quick relief with your treatment and not me? This is the way Kali anxiety attacks, forcing the physician to find an escape route, manipulate, or devise a satisfactory answer. In a broader, in a border almost on a quarrelsomeness, the anxious platina will also attack the physician if he does not give results but will hurt the doctor. There will be a sarcastic remark or the comparisons that may offend the physician. Are you giving him medicines or just plain placebo pills? Does your medicine have a capacity to cure such an illness? Or are you just going to experiment on me? So these are the words the platina is talking to you. Can you please satisfy my queries before I start taking your medicines? Tell me frankly, have you ever treated such an illness before? I am coming here only because nothing has worked on me in allopathy. Frankly speaking, I don't have faith. I will just give it a try for a few weeks, and if I don't feel better, I will stop. So this is what the word the platinum patients will talk to you when about this anxiety, because he has also anxiety, but this is what the anxiety reflects in the expressions, whereas in Kali the different expressions. The phosphorus anxiety is the soft anxiety that like that of calcarea. The anxiety is more expressive than the calcarea, but not harming or hurting the physician's feeling. Doctor, please help me, and I entirely trust you. I know you will cure me, but tell me why it is taking too much time or so much time. I don't mind if you take time, but will I be completely okay? Do you want me to do some more investigations that will help you to cure me? Doctor, you are my only hope. Please help me. So this is something that the talk will help you. The tone of the talk, which of course cannot be sensed or explained in a single dimension written book of Materia Medica. That is why we are reading, so that we can understand how the person talking is the most important thing to differentiate one remedy from the another. The questions, the doctor, why I am not getting any relief, can be said in a soft requesting tone or a harsh demanding tone or even a sarcastic. Doctor, why I am not getting any relief? Key. So this is what something you have to understand by the talk. The tone of the talk is soft, more melancholic, exhibiting concern but full of love and affection in the phosphorus. In Calcaria, the tone of talk is soft, exhibiting concern but full of timidity and fearfulness or tearfulness. In Kalikab and Kaliyars, the tone of the talk is complaining. It has anxiety, aggressions, questionings, and is indicative of the panic, threatening, but not to cut off the relationship. Whereas in China, the tone of the talk is quite sober, sad, and melancholic, but full of the complaint that everything on this earth is troubling me. So this is what you have to understand. Tormented, harassed, possessed, the China is. So by just taking the history, the tone of the patient is most important, and on the basis of that tone, you can get the idea how person is exhibiting on you as some symptoms. The third key point is the impatience. So the people who are very, very impatient, hurried, and impetuous. So Kalis are prone to be quick and fast in actions as in Sora, but dull and slow in psychosis, and they want things to happen fast. They cannot wait and can be impetuous in the actions. Timid and sensitive, the people who startle easily, As we understand from the pathophysiology that nerves and muscles are easily excitable and pass an impulse very quickly. This results in the rapid and easy actions of the muscles, and this results in easy startling. So slightest noise or the slightest stimulus from the noise, touch, or even light can startle a kali calf. The people who wakes up from the sleep at the slightest noise give the jerky reactions if they are sitting quietly and someone calls them from the behind or even touch them. So this is what you have to observe. People who are very touchy, those who get tickled easily can be kalika, the children who do not allow any touch on their souls or who do not allow anyone else to help them wear socks can be kalika. So whenever you are prescribing the kalika, you must ask that you must have a much tickling, then you confirm that it may be the kalika because of sensitivity. If patients do not allow their abdomen to be examined in fear of being tickled. So this is very important when you are examining the patient and the patient feels ticklish, you can directly think he might be a Kali personality. The children who, though fearful, do not like to be carried in the fear of being tickled. The timidity of Kali lead to the patient's liking status quo condition. He is aversion to change. This timidity reflects sometimes as a fastidiousness also. Anger, people who get angry easily, the easy anger and argumentative nature makes this timid Kalika as a quarrelsome and you are revolting. The people who have a less attachment and concern for their family but more of their safety, they are the Kalika. The people who have a puffy upper eyelid, Kalika, we know the physical symptoms. The people who feel drowsy and sleepy while eating, people who complain of the hollowness of the body. This is very important understanding that I must share one of the case with you. A case came to me after the COVID. In the COVID era, the patient comes to me after the COVID in almost the second after the second wave has been finished. And the patient came with the complaint that I used to have some problem in the body and there is a weakness and tiredness and everything was there. So I asked, since how long you do have a weakness and everything? And the patient says that since I have a COVID and I was admitted for the 4 days for a quarantine period and there was a 45% involvement of the lungs. After that, I took a minimal treatment and I recover after that. But after that, my body is not in a good way, and that is the things happening to my body. I feel very tired. I feel very lazy. I feel very weak. And one word the patient says in the Gujarati language, I will convert into English, Hindi. पेशेंट सेज दैट जैसे ऐसा लग रहा है कि मेरा बॉडी है ना ये कोरोना हुआ ना उसके बाद खोखला हो गया है सो दैट वाज द पर्सनस फीलिंग मतलब खोखला हो गया बॉडी खोखला हो गया है so that is what the person is telling me and on the basis of that I found that sensations of the what we call the empty sensation body empty sensations or hollow sensations. And another rubric I took is ailment after bad effect of pneumonia or neglected case of the pneumonia. So on the basis of combining these two rubric and I prescribed Kalikap to these patients, Kalikap 200 single dose. And after that, within 15 days, the patient says he was good. So this is very important understanding. Yeah, Kokla, Kali, well, that was the thing. So this is the things that Kali personality complain of the Koklaness. That is what the hollowness, particularly in particular organ, particular part of the body. So sometimes the patient says, मगज खाली हो गया है. Sometimes the patient says body में कुछ नहीं रहा है, weakness लग रहा है. So that is what खोखला हो गया है, खालीपन हो गया है. That is what hollowness or empty sensation. So this is a very important sensation. You can enter through this. I had one case and I am sharing with you. People who complain of pulsations all over the body, especially toes and the fingertips, the people who have lax fibers and are fat and obese and Like all carbons, the eating aggravations while eating and after eating, and eating causes sleepiness, eating causes yawning, eating causes palpitations, eating causes weakness and prostrations, eating causes anxiety and fear, eating causes vertigo and headache, eating causes fullness in the stomach, backache, and perspiration. So, what is this very important? So, eating is supposed to provide a nutrition which in turn help us to live, and it is supposed to give us the energy. Here eating is the nutrition, is the sora. In Kali, after easy and excess muscular activity in which many potassium ion are pushed out into extracellular fluid, they are returned to the internal cell environment with the help of the sodium potassium pump that consumes a lot of energy or a weakness, or energy or ATP, and this deplete the energy, especially from the muscles. This causes strain on the involuntary muscles as well as the other organ of the body, and therefore when the eating and the digestion take place, the muscles of the esophagus, stomach, intestines are stressed, and it causes the weakness, tiredness, sleepiness, headache, and palpitation, etc. So this is what our scientific understanding of this. The 13th point is the periodicity. We all know the Kali Kav is a good remedy for the asthma or respiratory complaints, and in that respiratory complaint, the time periodicity is mostly 2 to 4 a.m. aggravations or 3 to 4 a.m. aggravations. So night 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. aggravation of the most of the complaint like asthma, sciatica, or any of the strong indication for all Kalis in general and Kali Kav in particular. Why does this happen? All the symptoms that the body throws out has an explanation in the physiology. So the present day doctor and scientists tend to laugh at such complaint and tend to disbelieve the homeopath if they attach any importance to such symptoms like the periodicity. Let us now try and recollect that the Kali or a potassium element causes the electrical potentials in the neural cells to remain higher than the normal so that the voltage gets open very easily by slight stimuli. This causes an instability. The body always tries to counter instability by suppressing the reaction. This is done by secreting extra amount of the cortisol from the suprarrenal. The cortisol in turn reduces the electrical potential to make the gate slow in opening. The amount of the cortisol present in the blood undergo diurnal variations with the highest level present in the early morning and the lowest level present around the midnight 3 to 5 hours after onset of the sleep. So information from this wikipedia.org, you can find out this on the Wikipedia. The questions again is why does the cortisol level decrease 3 to 5 hours after the sleep? The answer lies in the understanding the light-dark cycle. The information about the light-dark cycle is transmitted from the retina to the pair suprachiasmatic nuclei in the hypothalamus. During the night, the hypothalamus that influences the pituitary and adrenaline reduces the ultimate production of the cortisol, and the suppressive effect on the voltage gate is off, and thus ultimately result in excitability of the neural cells and the complaint like asthma, sciatica, etc. increase at night. So this is what the beautifully sir has explained about why the Kali has this phenomena in this. So we conclude this here, the basic so understanding. So entry point of the Kali in short is the right-sided complaint, very timid, fearful, frightful, easily, startle easily, emotionally very angry, oversensitive and quarrelsome as the reactions, antagonism with the family and aversion to family and runs away, and aggravations at 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. as periodicity. These are the few entry points of the Kalis. Other signs that can point to the Kali is the backache, weakness and perspiration, the trio of backache, weakness and sweat, puffiness, upper eyelids, eating after aggravations of the many symptoms, and the sensations of the hollowness in the organ and the whole body as well as these are the indications of the Kali carb. So we will conclude the genetic reflections of the Kali from tomorrow. So we conclude today with the basic understanding of the Kali. Thank you so much. We end up the session here. In any, Dr. Parag has asked one question. In any GCS given case, if fever comes in between during new moon activity change, should we wait in phase over or give acute medicine? See, there are two type of the fever. One is the acute self-limiting fever, and one is a sorosyphilitic fever. If it is a sorosyphilitic or out of control, you can intervene with the acute remedy, especially in the moon phases. But if it is a soric purely and you are concerned that the generals is not so much disturbed and patient is not so dull in spite of having a fever, you must have to wait for the 24 to 48 hours during the moon phase. And after that, if the patient has recovered, no need to prescribe any acute remedy. Okay, so that was we have learned most of time in acute phase there is a flare up of the in the full moon or a new moon phase there is a flare up of the acute physiological symptoms and it will taken care by our body. So in that time, in the meantime of this, you must have to prescribe a few doses of placebo to the patients so that the patient will feel that the patient has the medications and the patient will better within the 24 to 48 hours. But if it will not happen within 24 to 48 hours, then you must intervene with the acute phase remedy or the acute totality has to be taken into considerations. And this will not affect the actions of the GCS. We have experienced many cases in a GCS. We have prescribed the GCS, and in between one fine day, acute medicine has to be prescribed. But this will not hamper the actions of the GCS, and the patient will come down from according to the hierarchy of the cure in the reverse order. So that has to be taken into consideration. Hope you got your answer, Dr. Parag. So thank you so much. We conclude the day today. Thank you all. We continue tomorrow. Most probably, we will continue till the Friday. Saturday, I'm not available as I'm going to give a lecture at Rajkot. So, Saturday I will not be available. So, Monday we will continue. Tomorrow and Friday we will available. So, we will continue the sessions tomorrow and Friday. Thank you all. Thank you so much.